I believe my mother did exactly the right thing. It's truly remarkable that any sensible parent would see it that way. For years, royal fans have wondered, whispered, and searched for secrets behind forced smiles and perfect family photos. But now, that silence is broken. Carole Middleton and her daughter, Princess Kate, have come forward to share a truth they say they can no longer hide. This kind of confession shocks the palace, changing what we thought was true. So why speak out now? What has been happening behind closed doors? Prepare yourself. This news might change everything. It also reveals how Carole Middleton quietly influenced the future of the royal family. The story didn't start with crowns or palace gates. It began in a small village in Berkshire, where Carole Middleton was teaching her children more than how to curtsy or wave from balconies. She was showing them how to work hard, stay kind, and keep their self-respect. Long before cameras followed them and royal titles appeared, the Middletons were just a regular family trying to create a better life. What many didn't notice was that their simple life was laying the groundwork for something special. For many years, insiders saw the Middletons as outsiders. They were polite and friendly, but seen as ordinary. They had no aristocratic roots, no old estates, and no place in high society. But they made up for that with quiet strength and determination. Carole and her husband Michael built their business from nothing. They raised their children with values that came from real life, not luxury. They taught humility, resilience, and quiet strength. These lessons weren't for royalty, they were lessons for life. And they turned out to be just what the royal family needed. When Kate Middleton started her royal life, the focus was on her poise and grace. She looked natural, blending tradition with warmth. But behind her was the steady support of her mother. Carole wasn't just in the background, she was a quiet force. She was always there, offering comfort, strength, or silence, depending on what Kate needed most. While royal rules kept palace staff at a distance, Carole stayed close through it all. During Kate's pregnancies, especially when she faced hyperemesis gravidarum, a condition that left her very ill and weak, it wasn't palace staff or royal doctors who supported her the most. It was Carole. When reporters circled like hawks and royal rules called for silence, Carole offered something deeper: protection. She didn't need headlines to show her value. Her strength came from simply being there. This quiet support didn't go unnoticed by key figures. Queen Elizabeth, known for her sharp instincts and careful choices, saw something rare in Kate and in her family. The Queen knew that the future of the monarchy wouldn't depend only on old traditions and bloodlines. It needed real people with strong values and a connection to the world outside the palace. Even Kate's siblings, Pippa and James, carried the same calm confidence. They never sought fame, but moved through the spotlight with steady grace, shaped by the same humble home. Their dignity didn't come from titles, but from a kind of character that's hard to teach and impossible to fake. The Middletons never pushed to be part of royalty. They didn't scheme or try to force their way in. Their influence grew quietly, not through schemes or power plays, but through consistency, respect, and strong family ties. Carole, especially, became the unseen support behind one of the most watched women in the world. As Kate takes on more royal duties in the future, it's clear that the Middletons are no longer outsiders. They are now part of the future of the monarchy. Not because of a crown, but because they carry the same values from their simple home in Berkshire. In a world that favors rules over change, it was a mother's love, patience, and quiet strength that helped shape a royal story that is more modern. As the Middletons' influence grew, it slowly changed the way royals act. Catherine wasn't just making history, she was quietly rewriting it. Stay with us. Catherine's silent rise, the strength behind her smile. With her mother's calm grace, Catherine's journey was not about size or fame. It was about gentle change. At first, her royal start looked like something from a picture book. A young woman confidently stepping into the spotlight, smiling and poised. But beneath that, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was dealing with much more than cameras could see. Her path wasn't built on privilege. It was built on hard work, patience, and emotional strength. Things even centuries of royal rules couldn't teach. Born in 1982 in the center of Barker, Kate grew up in a home built on love, daily routines, and strength. She wasn't dreaming of crowns. Instead, she played sports, studied hard, and helped with her family's small business. When she met Prince William at the University of St. Andrews in 2001, she wasn't impressed by his royal title. What mattered was the quiet connection they shared, something real and human, built in classrooms and shared laughs, not fancy palaces or events. Once their relationship became public, the fairy tale image took over. The media frenzy started and lasted for years. Tabloids called her Katie and mocked her silence. But she was never just waiting around. She was watching and learning, preparing herself not only for marriage, but for the role she would step into. No royal advisor trained her on how to handle media invasions or palace gossip. She learned everything herself, step by step. By the time William proposed in Kenya in 2010, she had mastered self-control. She didn't just accept the ring, she embraced a life of duty, knowing privacy would be scarce and judgment endless. Still, she chose to move forward. The challenges that followed were rarely seen by the public. Each of her 3 pregnancies was plagued by hyperemesis gravidarum, a sickness so serious she needed hospital care. Despite this, she still appeared smiling on hospital steps just days after giving birth, holding the future of the royal family in her arms. Those moments were more than ceremony. They were signs of her strength. Throughout it all, William stayed by her side, calm, steady, present. Their strength wasn't built on big gestures, but on shared understanding and trust. It was a quiet bond, not something flashy. The biggest test of her calm came from inside the family. Her close bond with Prince Harry and the unity of the so-called Fab Four gave the monarchy a fresh image. But as tensions grew and Harry and Meghan left royal life in 2020, that unity faded. Public stories spun out of control. Kate didn't argue or fight. She just stayed consistent. She showed up for the crown, for her country, and for their future. Even Queen Elizabeth II, who rarely praised, is said to have admired her quiet strength. The kind that doesn't need attention, but stands firm when tested. That respect wasn't given easily. It had to be earned. Catherine never rushed to be queen. She faced each challenge quietly, creating something stronger than popularity, trust. Over time, she became more than just the Princess of Wales. She is now the silent foundation of the monarchy, the unexpected force shaping its future with grace, purpose, and a quiet strength that is all her own. The letter that changed the course of the crown. She had always shown silent strength, calmly handling the intense spotlight. But what happened at Balmoral that fall proved Kate Middleton was no longer just adjusting to her role. She had become its guiding point. The royal family arrived expecting the usual: tradition, polite talk, and quiet nods to history. Balmoral had always been a place rich with history, where royal routines stayed the same, not changed. But this time, something changed. When Catherine entered the room holding a letter written by Queen Elizabeth II, everything felt different. No royal announcement prepared them for what was coming next. No cameras, no grand entrance, no crowds. Just a quiet reading that would be felt more deeply than any royal ceremony. Kate read aloud without hesitation. The handwritten words by the late Queen, written before her death in 2022, weren't sentimental. They were precise. The letter didn't just share advice, it pointed the way forward. Elizabeth made clear her affection for Kate, but more than that, her deep trust. It wasn't just formal trust, but something personal, lasting, and quietly revolutionary. Everyone in the room sensed the shift. King Charles avoided her gaze. Camilla, now Queen Consort, sat stiffly. Queen Anne's glance toward Edward said more than words ever could. No one interrupted because there was nothing to say. This wasn't just about inheritance. It was about intent. What followed wasn't just reflection, but a revelation. In the days after, staff found many private notes from the Queen to Kate. Some were written before big royal events, others during Kate's pregnancies or struggles. These notes offered more than comfort. They gave guidance, warnings, and clarity. Queen Elizabeth had spent years preparing Kate not just as a future queen's wife, but as a woman who stood on her own. These weren't official orders. They were personal messages, clear and quietly strong. They spoke of leadership built on grace, of strength that didn't need to shout to be seen. Camilla wore the crown, but what Queen Elizabeth left for Kate was unseen. It was trust, vision, and legacy. Then Princess Anne, who didn't care for drama, stepped forward with her final message. It wasn't just a formality. It was a clear sign that the Queen had not only prepared Kate to lead the monarchy, she had chosen her to shape it anew. As the meaning of those words settled like a soft fog in the room, something behind the palace doors began to change. The next move took even the strongest by surprise. Don't blink. There was a quiet shift in power. Camilla arrived at Balmoral dressed in elegance like a suit of armor. She held her chin high, walked slowly and carefully, and carried herself with unmistakable royal grace. She had spent years earning her place beside King Charles, facing constant judgment before finally becoming Queen Consort. Cameras now followed her around, capturing every step. Her name was becoming part of the modern image of the monarchy. But on that day, with old friends and historic walls all around, her confidence wavered. It wasn't a speech or grand gesture that changed her mood. It was a simple look. Princess Anne carefully cleared her throat before sharing a memory she had kept close all these years. In one of their last private talks, the late Queen had spoken plainly. She said the monarchy's future depended not only on bloodlines, but also on connection. Kate was the person who showed this truth best, not by making noise or acting flashy, but through quiet, steady grace. The signs had been there for years. While Camilla stayed in the spotlight, Kate was working quietly in the background. She changed what it means to be royal. She took on issues others avoided: maternal health, early childhood, mental health. She didn't try to grab attention. Instead, she earned respect over time with real kindness and warmth. Her strength came from trust, not tradition. Inside the palace, many saw her change unfold. Queen Elizabeth started passing her most special possessions to Kate, not with big fanfare, but with purpose. Historic brooches, treasured necklaces, heirlooms filled with meaning. They were more than jewelry in the royal world. Such gestures told a story. Camilla, always sensitive to details, noticed this. The public saw it too. People began to see Kate as more than just William's future wife. She was becoming her own person, someone who could mix old-style dignity with a modern touch. She hugged kids without hesitation, smiled easily during visits, and stayed calm under pressure. While Camilla represented tradition, Kate showed a future based on being genuine. Camilla held her role with calm strength. She rarely showed her feelings openly. But now her eyes held a quiet silence. Her smile had a pause. She seemed to understand something hard to say. Her time, though real, might not be the final answer for the monarchy. The Queen had chosen carefully. Kate wasn't just there to support William. She was meant to lead beside him. This was not about replacing one woman with another. It was about making the monarchy better. The change had already started long before the final words were spoken. What struggles did Camilla face before she wore the crown? Stay tuned to find out. A crown earned, not given by birthright. While the monarchy seemed stable from the outside, behind the scenes, silent storms had been forming for a long time. Camilla's crown was placed gently on her head, but it never sat comfortably. There was always some friction. Her journey started long before titles or vows. For Camilla, it was never just about becoming queen consort. It was about rewriting a story the world already knew. To many, she was the woman who took Diana's place, not just because of tragedy, but scandal too. The media made sure everyone saw it that way. Headlines described her as an outsider who broke a fairy tale. Inside the palace, the welcome was just as cold. Queen Elizabeth II, known for her poise, showed her discomfort without words. She kept her distance, refused to acknowledge Camilla publicly, skipped important events, and didn't attend Charles and Camilla's civil wedding in 2005. The photos from that day show the Queen and Prince Philip standing apart. Their smiles were forced. Everyone seemed stiff. The mood wasn't celebratory, but tense. Princess Anne, Charles's sister, didn't hide her disapproval. Her serious face and refusal to talk to Camilla said everything. Without saying a word, she made her feelings clear. Yet Camilla didn't back down. She moved forward slowly, choosing her steps carefully. She didn't ask for attention, but stayed present in royal life. Her approach was quiet and steady. No flash, just steady support for Charles. She did her duties well and kept her presence calm and consistent. Over time, those close to the monarchy started to notice. Camilla was not a replacement, but a true partner. Charles took his time. He worked quietly to change how people saw her. One interview, one picture, one well-planned appearance at a time. In February 2022, after years of care and patience, the Queen finally gave her blessing. She publicly said she hoped Camilla would become queen consort when Charles became king. But that royal approval didn't erase the past. Diana's legacy still lived strongly in Britain. Many believed Camilla earned her crown through perseverance, not love. After Queen Elizabeth's death in September 2022 and Charles's official ascent, not everyone welcomed the change. Some saw progress, others saw betrayal. Inside the palace, old tensions remained. Camilla and Princess Anne were friendly in public, but inside, their bond was weak. Anne, a traditionalist, thought Camilla was too relaxed and informal. She valued rules, routines, and duty, traits Camilla lacked. Their different ways made their relationship hard. Camilla tried to stay out of conflict and focused on showing her worth through hard work. Even after her coronation in May 2023 and finally claiming her own throne, she still felt eyes on her. The public and parts of the family looked at her not as a hero, but as someone they just tolerated. Her place was never truly celebrated. Still, she pressed on. Every day she carried out her duties quietly, supporting Charles and slowly shaping her role without drama. Whether her legacy will eventually be free of conflict is still uncertain. But one thing is clear. Her story isn't just about privilege. It's about perseverance. In a world quick to judge and slow to forgive, Camilla found her space by simply surviving what was thrown at her, not by demanding the crown. After years of slowly gaining acceptance, her position remained fragile, especially as Kate quietly outshined her in many ways. Stay with us to see how everything changed. A crown overshadowed. Kate Middleton's arrival brought new energy to the royal family. She seemed to do it with ease, winning admiration easily. She carried herself with calm and was always poised. Her smile and actions received instant approval. Camilla couldn't help but notice the difference. It wasn't just the crowds or the media praise that hurt. It was how differently her own path had gone. Camilla had climbed a steep hill to get accepted, often feeling alone. Meanwhile, Kate entered royal life as if she was born for it. This wasn't just what the public saw. Even inside the palace, whispers grew louder. Many believed Kate was the kind of queen the world wanted now. Each event with her made the gap feel even wider. Cameras always focused on Kate. Cheers followed her everywhere. Attention stayed fixed on her. Camilla, standing close, often felt hidden. She smiled and did her part, but deep down, it hurt. Silent comparisons and small dismissals cut deep. Camilla had hoped that time would help heal her wounds. But as Kate's popularity soared, she seemed to lose her own spotlight. It didn't help that Kate showed no sign of rivalry or jealousy. Her calm focus, her dedication to William, and her perfect public image made her even more loved by the people. Camilla, on the other hand, had always felt she had to prove her worth every step of the way. Behind closed doors, these feelings became a heavy burden. She started making bolder moves quietly, taking more control over her royal duties and traditions to strengthen her position. But each effort was often overshadowed by the growing admiration for the Duchess of Cambridge, who was soon to be Princess of Wales, then Queen Consort. As she grew older, Camilla became more aware of the years she couldn't get back. She saw Kate's youthful glow and was reminded of what she missed. Diana's memory, a kingdom that once rejected her, and the fear that history would forget her. Her hopes for her children's future in royal life became tangled with a deeper desire for lasting recognition. Though she stood beside Charles as queen, a lingering truth stayed with her. The love and loyalty from the public seemed to flow elsewhere. That quiet heartbreak stayed with her long after the applause faded. Kate was quietly rising while the crown's face was changing. Yet, behind palace doors, something deeper was beginning to take shape, something that would change the monarchy forever. This shift didn't come with loud cheers or big announcements. It started quietly, with a few handwritten letters. These letters, written with purpose and power, came from none other than Queen Elizabeth II. They weren't just sweet words between family members. They carried meaning, a plan, and a legacy. Carefully, they signaled that Catherine, Princess of Wales, was the future's true heartbeat. The Queen had been preparing for this for a long time. King Charles was still the king, but these letters brought new tension. They didn't threaten his reign, but hinted at a future where everything was redefined. They pointed not at replacing him, but at setting a new foundation. And that foundation wasn't the woman crowned beside him. It was Kate, walking just behind his son. Kate, once seen as just a lovely wife, now carried a bigger weight. She was no longer simply fulfilling her royal duties. She was the future of the monarchy. With every small gesture, every careful decision, she was preparing for something that would last. Unlike Camilla, who fought long to be accepted, Kate's grace seemed natural. But behind her ease was years of quiet discipline. She learned from her mother, Carole Middleton, and had a sense of purpose that had been built behind closed doors. This wasn't about fame or attention. It was about trust and legacy. Now signs of that trust showed everywhere. The Queen's private visits with Kate, rare conversations at Balmoral, even Carole's quiet memories of a monarch who saw something special in her daughter-in-law, a strength that was gentle but firm, family and tradition woven into everything, a calm that filled rooms without making them silent. Instead, it grounded them. Camilla remained there, but something had shifted. People who once doubted Kate's quiet nature now saw it as a steady strength the monarchy needed. Though traditions still mattered, it was clear that bloodline alone no longer determined the crown. Grace, restraint, and quiet leadership now played a big part. The monarchy was changing, and at the heart of this shift was a woman who didn't push for change, but lived it. What do you think Queen Elizabeth's secret letters really revealed? Was she quietly recognizing Kate as the future of the monarchy? We want to hear your thoughts. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.